Yo, it's Laszlo. Hey, I want you to think about this for a second. If a tomato plant, or any other plant that you grew in your basement, say, is over 75% water, then other than the seed, the water is very, very important, right? For the best water for your in-home hydroponic growing needs, you need to get GrowFlow, powered by Culligan, Kansas City. For the best quality water for plants and your body, you need to go with GrowFlow KC, powered by Culligan, Kansas City. GrowFlowKC.com.
Red Eddie. Hey fans, every Monday during football season, get KFC Red Monday Rewards. Buy a finger-licking good Kentucky Fried Chicken sandwich and get one free. And if you're looking for a great way to feed the whole family or tailgating crew, pick up a KFC bucket meal. Enjoy freshly prepared original recipe, extra crispy or chicken tenders, plus all the home-style sides you need. It's made exactly how it should be, by chicken people, not burger people. Monday just got a lot better. Buy one, get one free chicken sandwiches. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
It's a Football Friday on Sports Radio 610. Here's Payne and Pendergast.
On the hands and into right. Welcome to the big leagues, Jake Myers. Your first playoff at bat. Drives in the first one of the series. On the ground to third, Moncada coming home with the ball. The play. He is safe. 2-0 Houston. 2-2 to Alvarez. In the air, right center field. Well struck. And back to the wall. And gone. 6-0 Houston. Here's Engel. Last chance for the White Sox to extend the game. Goes after the first one. It's over Presley. Altuve bare hands and throws in time. And game one belongs to Houston.
Maybe aside from a couple changeups and a couple heaters, even when pitches weren't in the zone, they had purpose and they helped me out through the rest of the game. So spectacular job by our defense, by our offense, by the bullpen. It's good to win game one.
6-1. Like the score, there's nothing deceptive about that score. The Astros smothered the White Sox yesterday, 6-1. Game one of the ALDS. The Astros now 6-0 in game ones of American League Divisional Series since 2015. And so they're off to a nice start here. The good and the bad from yesterday, you heard a lot of the good right there in that montage as we welcome you back in. Sean Pendergast and Seth Payne with you. Jordan's home run, the fact that Jordan is hitting, Altuve's slide, Jake Myers getting into the act early in the game and giving the Astros an early lead. To me, Seth, the biggest story yesterday was Lance McCullers, without a doubt. And those were all great things that those other guys did. But Lance McCullers, 6 2/3, shutout baseball, dominant performance, but was not striking guys out. But the key was he wasn't walking guys either. He wasn't. No free passes yesterday.
He didn't walk a single damn person for the first time all year. On balls, at least, he didn't walk. He did strike that poor Luis Robert character right in the hand, give him some stitches. But now we'll think about that. They've all got something to think about.
Right.
When Lance, the good Lance, not the Lance that looks like Tom Segura that pitches for the White Sox, but the good Lance, McCullers. Sean, strikeouts, you can have them, man. On this team, I'm all about soft, gentle, soothing contact because there's nothing more pleasing than somebody dribbling a ball to or even on hard contact. It doesn't matter. Soft contact, hard contact. If it's in the infield, it's going to be an out. And that's a lot more fun to watch. I've come around to this. Frankly, you see me you show me a game where the fans have a bunch of K's lined up in the stands. I say that's a boring baseball game. Yeah. Give me soft contact and good old school fielding, and there you've got a defensive effort that's fun to watch.
You're the guy out there holding up a sign that says 643. You're holding up a sign that says like F9. Like Seth is holding up the most boring baseball scorecard abbreviations out there in the outfield.
Look, we've seen it with Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander. You got a fly ball guy out there that's strikeout king. It's either strikeouts or home runs, and neither one of them are fun to watch anymore. Well, soft contact.
I think it's funny you bring up those names. You bring up Verlander, you bring up Cole. I'll throw Keuchel in there. At times, Morton and Greinke as well. Although I think in terms of their Astro careers, they're probably secondary to those three guys. When I think of guys on this team in this window that they've experienced here, like if you were to create a title belt for the ace of the Astros staff in each of the postseasons and name them the ace and they got to hold the belt, I would say the lineage of that title would be Keuchel in 2015, Verlander in 2017, probably some combination of, I would say Verlander in 2017 and 2018. I would say Cole in 2019. I would say Fromber last year. This is Lance's first experience as, I think, the unquestioned guy holding the title belt of Astros ace. And that's why, as I'm watching this yesterday, Seth, and I'm watching Lance have this performance that was a phenomenal performance, I'm going, okay, these other guys were able to some degree to sustain this throughout postseasons, in some cases multiple postseasons. Can Lance be that guy? And I think he can, in no small part because he's got just as electric of stuff as any of those guys we just named, as any of them.
Yeah, well, he's an unrecognizable pitcher compared to back when he threw 24 straight curves in 2017. Kudos to those guys on the broadcast for mentioning that yesterday. But he's added to his repertoire every year, and for a guy that, remember, the questions were always, could he stay healthy given his mechanics, and is it even safe for him to be adding new pitches when his arm is already so stressed? He's become a master at all these pitches, and I think more than anything, the coolest thing with Lance is he's maintained his fire. You know, you see him, like, he's calling out guys in social media the day before he pitches. And unlike some players where you might worry about him getting distracted, that just fuels his fire. He's like Roger Clemens in that respect, where there's a certain amount of, with a normal person, you might worry that it's too much fire and that it's going to affect your performance. For him, it's genuine fuel for his performance. But at the same time, he's gotten a lot more mature, not just with having such a great repertoire of pitches, but him just listening to Maldonado. You saw, I think after that first hit he let up, it looked like he was telling Maldonado, he tapped his chest, like he must have. I think he shook off Maldonado on that. Maldonado probably asked for a slider, and Lance tried something else, and he gave up a hit, and it reminded Lance, oh yeah, I'm just supposed to do whatever Maldonado tells me to.
Right,
because he just flat out knows what the hell he's doing.
Because Maldonado is a baseball genius, 100%. Here's McCullers, and McCullers echoed what you just said, Seth, in the post game yesterday, talking about his maturation, I guess we'll call it, as a pitcher.
I'm much more of a pitcher now than I was in the past. You know, I feel like I have the ability to fill up the zone with multiple pitches. I have the ability to attack different quadrants, whereas maybe in the past I really didn't. I had a curveball and a fastball. But, you know, my ability to throw changeups for strikes, I'd mix in the cutter, you know, to lefties when needed. The sinker-slider matchup today, I could really see them, you know, trying to stay away from that slider, which opened up the sinker. So it's just one of those things. It's that cat and mouse game. It's guys who I've learned from over the years. You know, one of the guys on the other side, Dallas being one of them, on how to navigate, how to break down, you know, lineups and go after them. And no one's probably helped me more than Martin Maldonado. Is just someone that's been huge for our team and me personally in my career.
He is, Maldonado. He mentions Maldonado there. I tweeted this, Seth, yesterday after Maldonado threw out the base run. I forget. It might have been Luis Robert he threw out. I can't remember. He threw out somebody at second base. And I felt this way about Maldonado coming into this postseason, but it was an appropriate time to tweet it because he had just made a play that would totally back up my point. But I feel like Maldonado is one of the 4 or 5 most valuable Astros heading into this postseason. And the reason why, look, if I were to list the most valuable Astros, I would say McCullers and Valdez are at or near the top because they're your top 2 starters. To me, value is about what the drop-off is after you in terms of whatever superhero powers it is you bring to the table. McCullers and Valdez are right up near the top. Yordan is up near the top for me just because of what we saw yesterday. He's a total game wrecker. Correa is near the top because there's nobody in baseball that can do what he does as a shortstop. Maldonado is that for me, especially over the course of what we hope is a long postseason. His ability to handle the pitchers, especially the younger pitchers. This is a starting rotation where Lance McCullers is the grizzled veteran right now of this rotation. His ability to throw out base runners, his ability to cerebrally look at the game, and just his ability with the glove. I mean, he's a Gold Glove caliber catcher. You know, I'm a Jason Castro apologist, but it's mostly as a pinch hitter. I do recognize that the drop-off from Maldonado to Castro, when it comes to the long-term things you need out of your catcher in a postseason like this, Maldonado, to me, I don't think you get out of the top 5 or 6 before he gets listed. Because here's the thing. They can lose 1 or 2 of their hitters, and this lineup is still going to hit. They lose Maldonado, and that's a big, big gap for this team.
When one of the best things of yesterday, one of the best parts of the game yesterday early on, it was in the second inning when Maldonado picked off Robert. But before that, Jimenez had flied out, and he went up and he kind of whispered something. He spoke something very slyly to Robert, who was standing at first base. And you're like, okay, something's up here. And you know Maldonado knows that something's up. And it was just awesome because if you caught that, and Brandy pointed it out to me, I had my head in my phone, and she's like, he said something to the guy on first base. And I was like, oh, let's watch this. This is going to be good. This is going to be good. And bam, off goes Robert. Maldonado takes him down at second. It was just, and that's where, and then I was almost expecting Maldonado to hit a home run in his next at bat.
Yeah.
Because you get that juice going.
Yep.
But even then, well, at his next at bat, he struck out that next one. It was his at bat after that strikeout where that was when Myers ran past second and then all the way back to first.
Yeah.
But I looked at that as a productive at bat because it put pressure on Lance Lynn.
Yeah.
It was just like, we're running, bro. We will be testing you all day long.
That's a good observation. Somebody jokingly says Machete 10-year deal. That's the new thing today. Who's getting 10-year deals? Machete 10-year deal coming. I'll say this. I know you're joking around, and he'll never get a 10-year deal as a player. Martin, this is my bold prediction. Martin Maldonado will be the manager of this baseball team someday.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, that hypothetical. Okay, let's say Dusty, whose contract expires, and everybody's just saying, Jim Crane's saying the nice, right things about it. It's like, we'll discuss that later on. What if you found out that the plan was to give Dusty 1 or 2 more years, and that after that Maldonado would take over?
I think it'd be awesome. I think Martin Maldonado had me as a future manager when he made that play during the season where he knew which guy to tag when there were 2 guys standing at third base. Remember that? When I forget who the opponent was. There was all sorts of confusion on a tag up. And Martin walked over and tagged the guy that I think most of us watching the game said, why are you tagging that guy? Well, he tagged him because I'd have to go. I need to go find it to describe it better. Just suffice it to say that it felt like Martin and the announcers were the only ones who knew the rule. and as soon as I saw that, I'm like, that's a future manager right there. And plus, catchers make the best managers too.
Yeah, he does a really good job with the post game and everything. He's like a manager when he handles the post game and explains the strategy and all that. Yeah, I'd be all about it.
I would too.
Altuve's slide was one of the magnificent things about yesterday. I guess it was probably Altuve's slide into home was probably the most picture-worthy, right? That's the most memorable photo of that game yesterday. Altuve, and then although if you got a still frame of Altuve making the last out after barehanding that ground ball,
pretty sweet too.
It might be that too. Altuve at the beginning of the game and at the end of the game just had 2 of the biggest moments in the game.
All right, couple things here. One, bottom of the hour, Ted Johnson's going to join us. Our good friend Teddy J up in Boston doing TV and radio up there. Of course, former New England Patriot. He'll help us get ready for Patriots Texans. We'll find out how Ted's doing as well. I bet Ted has Urban Meyer thoughts. That's my prediction. I bet Ted has thoughts on Urban Meyer that we need to hear as well. Up next, can the Texans make this the worst month of Bill Belichick's coaching life? Also, we'll hear from Tony La Russa, close personal friend of Belichick, and I think you'll see why. That's next.
This is Sean Barber, a.k.a. Barbershop.
And this is Matt McGinnis from the McGinnis Group. We specialize in insurance and financial services.
The thing I know about the Chiefs and this team is together, everyone achieves more. And since I've been with the McGinnis Group, I've seen with my own eyes what makes them different than any other broker. They have the best staff and the most talented and knowledgeable consultants in the business. And we truly work the hardest for our clients to better our KC.
It's insurance renewal time, so call 913-831-0999.
All right, you're clear to enter Kansas Lottery Play on Points for a chance at one of 30 NASCAR prize packages at Kansas Speedway October 23rd and 24th. Nice and easy now. Hotel, winner's suite for you and a guest. Just use the Kansas Lottery Play on app. No cautions. Keep scanning. Hold on. You got someone coming up behind you.
That's my dog.
Do not let him spin you out.
I'm good. He's just getting water.
You could win this now. Bring it home. See KSLottery.com for details. Woohoo!
Shopping for a new car can be fun and frustrating. Other car shopping sites share and sell your personal information, which means your phone and inbox get lit up and you can't make it stop. OneRequest does not sell or share your personal information, and that puts you in control of your shopping experience. At OneRequest, you communicate with dealers anonymously. When you're done shopping, simply delete your request and all communication stops. Hello, car? Goodbye, spam. Don't just search for your next car. OneRequest it. Visit OneRequest.com today.
It's a Football Friday on Sports Radio 610. Here's Payne and Pendergast.
Seth, you brought this up to me off the air yesterday, and I think it's a good point. Patriots coming to NRG Stadium this Sunday. They're heavy favorites. They should win the game. We'll talk to Ted Johnson more about that at the bottom of the hour.
What did I point out to you?
You pointed out the fact that this book on the Patriots is getting released next Tuesday. The Seth Wickersham book.
Yeah, and Belichick is none too happy.
He's none too happy.
He told Chris Collinsworth as much.
Yes.
During Sunday Night Football, Collinsworth was basically being a mouthpiece for Bill Belichick, defending himself in this book, talking about how it seems like it's a bunch of second and third hand accounts. And at one point, apparently Belichick. Apparently Belichick said that he's never spoken to Seth Wickersham, the author of the book, and Seth Wickersham said, "Yeah, hell yeah, you have." This is like Belichick usually tries to stay pretty mum about this, but this one seems to be bothering him for some reason.
Well, okay, the book is called "It's Better to Be Feared." Seth Wickersham. ESPN.com writer who's written some other exposés about the Patriots behind the scenes. If you had to pick somebody to write a behind the scenes book about the Patriots, Seth Wickersham would be the guy that you would pick if you're looking for juicy details. I can't wait to see if Ted's already ordered a copy of the book when we talk to him at the bottom of the hour.
He's already got a dastardly feel to him, I think, because a lot of people up in New England don't like him now. Because you remember the Wickersham brothers were not pleasant people in Horton Hears a Who. They were the ones that would harass poor Horton.
I had forgotten about that.
Yeah. In this version, Bill Belichick is Horton, big dumb elephant.
He's a Dr. Seuss
getting harassed by Seth Wickersham of the brothers.
You should ask Belichick that in a post-game press conference this week. Do you ever
if
feel
Seth
like Horton
Wickersham were a brother, it would be even better.
Yeah.
But he's not.
He's not.
He's just a plain old white guy.
That's all he is. But this is what you brought. This is what you brought up yesterday, Seth, with this off the air, and I thought that's a really good point. Is that Bill Belichick is in the midst right now of what might be the most difficult coaching month of his coaching life, at least in the last several years. And when you think about,
let's say of this century.
Okay, yes, let's do that. Of this century, it makes it sound bigger. He in this month already, he has lost to his hated former quarterback Tom Brady, number one.
His hated, yes,
he hates him. For purposes of this segment, he hates Tom Brady.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
2 days ago, he had to trade the former Defensive Player of the Year for pennies on the dollar because they were just too stubborn to work something out.
It was like did that turn out to be a 2024 draft pick?
23.
Oh, okay.
Sixth rounder. You got a 2023 sixth rounder for the Defensive Player of the Year too. Now, granted, Stephon Gilmore's been banged up and he had a quad injury or whatever.
Torn quad. Yeah.
Still, Belichick's getting a lot of criticism over that. This book comes out on Tuesday. Can you imagine if before we even get to the middle of October, that Belichick has already lost to Brady, traded Gilmore for nothing, had this book come out, and lost to a team that has Nick Caserio and Jack Easterby in their front office?
And he would be with a 1-5 record.
Yes,
his record would be 1-5 on the season.
1-4.
What's that? Excuse me, 1-4.
1-4. Yep.
Yeah, I know. 1-4.
Yeah.
A 1-4 record. After spending heavily in free agency as well. You've got a rookie quarterback, sure, but you spent more heavily in free agency than anybody else. You flat out planned on being competitive this year because you're so brilliant that you were going to turn Mac Jones into the next Tom Brady.
That's why they had to trade Gilmore's, because they had no cap space. Remember we were talking the other day, they had $54,000 under the cap. That's it.
They need to sign. They let go of Stephon Gilmore because they need cap space to sign. Wait for it, Jamie Collins. That's the state they're in right now.
Yikes! So the Texans, if you're listening right now, Texans, especially some of you former Patriots on this team, and you know you're listening, Brandon Cooks and Danny Amendola and the like, you really have a chance to make your former employer quite miserable.
this is where it would turn into, I believe at this moment, with Belichick's record without Tom Brady as his quarterback in the NFL is 63-76.
That's not a good record.
So that would be the other thing. It would end up being 63-77 without Tom Brady as his quarterback.
Let's do it.
In that book, there's one of the chapters was released, and it talks about the 2007 season. And the one thing there that I don't think you can quantify about Tom Brady, and that I don't think that Belichick and a lot of those coaches in New England ever really appreciated, was just that Tom Brady was the best offensive coach the Patriots ever had.
Yes.
He's the best receivers coach in the league. Like the amount he demands and expects of his receivers and what he can teach them about running routes, about adjusting to coverages, all of that stuff. There's just nobody else in the league that's as good at it as he is. And that's what you can't show it on a Wonderlic. It doesn't show up on your combine test. It doesn't show up at the University of Alabama when you're a college quarterback. There's no way to measure it or quantify it, and it's not going to be as simple as just going out and finding some other smart vanilla kid that can throw the ball a little bit.
We need to keep this trend going of Houston teams making curmudgeonly old coaches and managers miserable, because Belichick would be the one on the football side. Here is Tony La Russa, who, if I'm not mistaken, is a close personal friend of Bill Belichick's. I think they're buddies, La Russa and Belichick. Here is Tony La Russa with quite the exchange following yesterday's loss to the Astros.
Tony, what was McCullers doing to keep the pitching or to keep your hitters away from the ball all day?
Over the years, we agree or disagree. I like talking about our club, and they can talk about theirs. They know him better. The numbers speak for themselves. We didn't do much with him. But as far as giving some kind of in-depth why we didn't, it just doesn't work too well. Just recognize what he did. He pitched very well.
You keep your club from not getting discouraged or frustrated after a day like today?
Well, it's a good question to ask because you don't know our club. And if you watch our club, doesn't get discouraged. If they beat you, you tip your cap and you come out tomorrow. There's no doubt in my mind we'll come out ready to play.
Oh, God, Tony. Tony's like, realize it's past my bedtime. It's 7 o'clock right now. I am so tired.
Sean, though, I think that wouldn't you rather have – I like it when a guy can maintain his edge at the age of 77. I honestly do. I'd rather have that version of a manager than if your 77-year-old manager said, hey, I'll tell you, if there's one thing I've learned, life is short, and you win some and you lose some. But all I know is that, hey, it was another day to be alive. Hey, you'd be like, all right, this old geezer's over the hill. I like angry Tony La Russa.
I do too. If you look for purposes of content, he's absolutely awesome. I am, for whatever reason, Tony La Russa is a sports personality that has always rubbed me the wrong way. For the last 20 years, I just don't like Tony La Russa.
Well, he is a grumpy SOB. Yeah. And earlier this year, it looked like the White Sox clubhouse was going to be an open revolt against Tony La Russa. You had players criticizing him criticizing players. He doesn't like the new age bat flipping and all that stuff. And they talked during the broadcast yesterday about supposedly how he'd loosened up and everything. And then they showed a picture of him. And basically what they said was, look, he's even wearing the special jersey that they had to wear that day. Okay, great. I don't know what's your damn point here?
Yeah.
That's a required uniform.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Ted Johnson.
So what you're saying is you want to turn Bill Belichick into somebody that refused to even answer a question about Davis Mills.
Yes, that's yes.
Because
he's always been so glib. Yes.
Somebody's going to ask Belichick, like, hey, so what do you think? How did Davis Mills manage to have 375 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions
I
today?
want Belichick to turn from this happy-go-lucky guy that he is into somebody who's miserable all the time. Yes. Because he's never that. All right, Ted Johnson. Played for Bill Belichick. Played for him in 3 Super Bowls. Won all 3 of them. He's our good friend, our former colleague here at Sports Radio 610, and he's doing radio and TV up in Boston right now, and he's going to provide some insight for the Patriots and Texans game. this coming Sunday. We'll get the view of what is the Brady and Belichick dynamic right now up in New England, especially on the heels of Brady beating the Patriots last week. That and a whole lot more with Ted Johnson, 3-time Super Bowl champ, next.
Once he got his hands on you, you weren't getting off.
Hey, it's Parks. Business owners, you've put off replacing your parking lot, and now it has turned into gravel. Time to bring in the commercial paving pros at Preferred Asphalt and Concrete. When it comes to replacing parking lots, walking trails, sidewalks, roads, and driveways, Preferred Asphalt and Concrete should be your first call. Top-rated customer service, unmatched quality, and locally owned. Get your free quote today. Check them out at packc.biz. That's packc.biz. Preferred Asphalt and Concrete, a company you can trust.
Who wrote the book of luck?
Hey, folks, need a new truck? Well, you're in luck. Just play the Kansas Lottery Chevy Silverado ticket, and you could instantly win a 2021 Chevy Silverado plus $10,000. Or in the second chance drawing. Silverados everywhere, or my name isn't Silverado Sam. Well, it's not, but you could still win a truck. See KSLottery.com for details.
General Motors trademarks used under license to Pollard Banknote Limited.
We wrote the book of luck.
This is Sean Barber, a.k.a. Barbershop.
And this is Matt McGinnis from the McGinnis Group. We specialize in insurance and financial services.
The thing I know about the Chiefs and this team is together, everyone achieves more. And since I've been with the McGinnis Group, I've seen with my own eyes what makes them different than any other broker. They have the best staff and the most talented and knowledgeable consultants in the business. And we truly work the hardest for our clients to better our KC.
It's insurance renewal time, so call 913-831-0999.
From the Twin Peaks studio, it's a Football Friday on Sports Radio 610. Here's Payne and Pendergast.
All right, welcome back in, Payne and Pendergast, Sports Radio 610. Only the great guests get their own theme music when we bring them on. Patriots, Texans, Sunday, noon kickoff. You can hear it right here on Sports Radio 610. Seth Payne and I will be on Texans Countdown live in Bud Light Plaza. Joining us now, someone who has done many, many days and hours of radio with both Seth and I through the years. He is our former colleague here at Sports Radio 610. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champ. And most of all, he's our good friend, Ted Johnson, joining us right now on Sports Radio 610. Teddy J, what's up?
What's up, Sean? How you doing, Seth? Good to talk to you, boys.
It's good to talk to you, man. It's great to talk to you. So we were just talking in the previous segment about this Seth Wickersham book that's coming out about the Patriots. How many copies have you ordered of that book?
I haven't ordered any because you know what's funny about those kind of books, you guys, is I feel like I already know what's in these books. You know, I lived it. I played for Bill Belichick for 6 years, and so I know kind of what goes on behind the scenes. So, and then I just wait for everyone else to kind of digest it, read it, and then give us what the important points of the book were. So, but I tell you, everybody at our station has been clamoring for his book. Seth clearly is a big fan of the people around here that cover this team because he has, he has kind of uncovered some pretty big stories in the past, and in particular, a very famous kind of article in 2017 on ESPN.com where he basically talked about the eroding of the relationship between Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. So he was the one first point to that back in 2017. And so Seth gets a lot of good stuff, a lot of good information. But I won't read the book because I lived it. I lived it.
Well, this one was interesting, Ted, because I think usually my perception's always been that Belichick stays pretty mum about a lot of stuff like this, articles or books that are written. This time It seems like he's pushing back a little bit. Is it because is this touched a nerve somehow with him?
You know what's funny is so when Bill was asked about this book from Seth Wickersham it's about to come out in I think any day now. He basically referenced something to the fact that it's second, third, fourth hand information. So he totally just kind of put it down. And Seth has had to come out and defend himself on Twitter and various social media platforms recently to kind of defend his sources, if you will. And so you're right, Seth. He is pushing back on this one. And it's funny. It's kind of weird because at the end of the day, some people might say it maybe leans a little bit more favorably towards Tom than Bill in this. But for the most part, there's really no big bombshells and nothing really that makes Bill look that bad. So why he's pushing back the way he is, I don't know. But Bill's a very defensive guy. He might not always show that, but he is he's the guy that if you're going to go after him, do it at your own peril, because he's got a lot of power and a lot of clout, and he can make life miserable for you.
Well, and that's what I wondered about, I suppose, is that he's sitting here with a 1-3 football team. The prospect of being 1-4, don't laugh at me, Ted. But what's the general sentiment there?
There's four offensive linemen that aren't going to be playing in this game. So,
yeah, they got the COVID.
There's two guys that have COVID, and there's two guys that are injured. And so right now, the only one that has been practicing all week is the center, David Andrews. So to say that the Patriots could, at the end of the day, be 1-4 is not such a stretch. So, but continue.
So what are people feeling about Belichick up there? Because I've always been shocked. Like after the Eagles Super Bowl loss, it seemed like there were actually a whole bunch of people in New England that thought that it was time for Belichick to go. Are we at that point already?
It's kind of a mixed bag. I would say it's more and more now. People are kind of realizing and seeing that things aren't maybe what they appear there, and especially when you lose. Okay, I mean the biggest thing. Let's just face it. What's the biggest thing that has put the spotlight on Bill Belichick recently? It's the fact that Tom Brady is not playing on this team anymore, and for the longest time. And I would say, I mean, there's still a lot of people that really think that Tom left the Patriots, that Tom chose to leave here and he didn't want to stay here, when that is just not the case. I mean, it was Bill's really pushing Tom out, making life miserable for him behind the scenes, so that he really was just an unbearable working environment for Tom. But the main thing was Bill did not want to give Tom a contract that was even close to what he deserved. And so at the end of the day, it was really about money. He didn't want to pay Tom. And so Tom said, well, I'm gonna go somewhere else. And so a lot of fans, are starting to understand that point, that it was really Bill that pushed Tom out. And so when they see Tom go down there in Tampa Bay and win a Super Bowl last year, you see this team go 7-9 last year, not having zero plan for a quarterback when Tom was to leave, and then to get off to a 1-3 start. Now people are starting to be a little bit more critical of Bill and looking at Bill and all the decisions he's made in the past. And you bring up the Malcolm Butler, not being benched in the Super Bowl against the Eagles, losing that game when you could have won that game. And then Tom going down to Tampa Bay, having success and still having, it looks like, a lot of gas left in his tank. And why would you run out the best player in the history of the game? Was it ego? Was it pride, hubris, whatever it was? People are starting now, Seth, to kind of turn against Bill. He's got to win football games, and he's not doing that. Let's just face it. The ecosystem has completely changed now that Tom Brady has moved on, and so Bill is more exposed now than he's ever been. He doesn't have Tom to kind of cover up a lot of his flaws, and so people are starting to kind of come around and see maybe that Bill isn't exactly what they thought he was.
Ted Johnson joining us here on Sports Radio 610. All right, so Ted, what kind of spot does this put Mac Jones in right now as a rookie who's heading into week 5 of his rookie year? He's done some nice things so far, but still it's a 1-3 team. And as you just illustrated, the shadow of Tom Brady seems to hang over this team now more than ever. What kind of spot is this for Mac Jones?
You know what's interesting, Sean, and it does. There's a huge shadow with Tom, but I will say this. I feel like so much the game that came and went last week, that it looks like Bill and Tom kind of put a lot of that, maybe some of their stuff to rest. Bill went into the locker room after the game, and my feeling is, said, hey, can we bury the hatchet kind of thing? And my feeling is a lot of that Bill and Tom kind of, relationship that we've talked about for so long is going to be put to rest. So I feel like almost moving forward now, Sean, is that Mac Jones doesn't have to worry about that shadow. But having said that, I will say this: the kid's done a really good job coming in here. He really has. He just looks like he's competent. He's got a lot of poise, and more than anything, he's a really tough kid. However, having said that, there's limitations to his game, and there's limitations to the overall offense. And although he has not lost this team a game, he hasn't. and he's done a good job of managing the offense. He has not really done anything to win football games. And though that's the next step for Mac Jones is how can you make game-winning plays? Can you make plays that are going to, be the difference in winning and losing? He hasn't made those yet. He hasn't made a lot of mistakes, and he's run the offense in an efficient manner, but yet he hasn't made game-winning plays. And so it's a little bit of a conservative approach. You'll see maybe if it's in the play calling, but also in maybe his play and his decision-making. So that's the next step is, hey, the kid's poised. He's tough. He hangs in there. He gets lit up, and he keeps getting up. He knows where to go with the football. The ball's out fast. He can run the 2-minute. He's efficient when it comes to that. It's now is can you make game-winning plays and can you win football games for your team? That's really the next step in his evolution. So really the jury's still out on Mac Jones. There's a lot of people, and I love the kid. I think he's done an admirable job when you consider he had to come in and beat out Cam Newton at the beginning of the season. Now he's playing in the shadow of Tom Brady. He's done really well, but it's the jury's still out on exactly what his potential can be. We just don't know that just yet in just 4 games.
I guess in the couple of games that I've watched, Ted, my impression has been, one, that they're not pushing the ball downfield at all with him. Like Josh McDaniels is doing a good job of finding him open receivers in the short and intermediate area, but they're not pushing the ball downfield. But then the other thing is that he's smart in the pocket. He'll step up in the pocket. He's comfortable and everything. But as soon as anybody gets a paw on him, he goes down like a sack of rocks. Right? So, like, this, whatever the narrative was on him on not being an athlete or whatever, it doesn't look like he's got a whole lot of escapability.
It's funny. I hear you. There's times when he has done that, but then there's times when he has evaded the pass rush. And I'll say this. Let's put this out there. He has not had a lot of help from this offensive line. One of the biggest disappointments so far for this team this year is just the offensive line. This was supposed to be a dominating offensive line, and it is far from that. I mean, he had, I think in the last 2 games against the Tampa Bay Bucs and the New Orleans Saints, he's been hit almost 24 times in the pocket. So he takes a beating back there, but he gets up, and he has able at times, Seth, because teams are just blitzing him. He's believe it or not, he's got a really kind of accomplished background in, of all things, tennis, right? So he's got good feet. He can shuffle to the right. He can evade the pressure at times. He just needs more help from his offensive line. The offensive line, which was supposed to be, I think, one of probably the best unit on this team, has been one of the worst. And so he doesn't have a lot of help back there, in protection.
Ted Johnson joining us on Sports Radio 610. All right, Ted, before we get you out of here, we have to ask you, did Bill Belichick ever, when you were on the team and you were playing Thursday Night Football, did he ever choose to stay behind and not travel back with the team so that he could see his grandkids?
Is that the best story ever? Like, I'm telling you, I'm obsessed with the Urban Meyer story.
I knew you would be.
Dude, I've been trying to talk about this story all summer long. Whenever I'm on the Sports Hub, and I'm like, can we just talk about Urban? Like, this guy's fascinating. And I'm amazed at how many people think Urban Meyer is going to come in and change the NFL game. I'm like, this guy is going to fall flat on his face. So, I mean, it's a great story, and I'm glad you brought it up, Sean. And the answer is no. I have never had a coach stay. The only coach that didn't fly back after a game was Bill Parcells, because that's when he went to go coach for the Jets. And, that broke my heart that he didn't fly back with us after that Super Bowl in '96 when he went to the Jets job. But Urban Meyer staying back is just blows me away, Seth, and I don't know what you think about that, but if I'm a player on that team, I am BS with my coach, man. That's not a good look.
You especially think about Ted, because the one thing I know about you guys and those Patriots teams was that you had really good veteran leadership. I talked to you. I've talked to other guys that were there for various scandals, and they talk about how the veteran leadership really helped them through all of it. And I'm just thinking about, okay, you're trying to create veteran leadership on this football team. What are those veteran leaders thinking when they realize, holy crap, Urban Meyer didn't fly back with us? Like, there's going to be guys showing up for therapy on Friday morning. Like, Urban Meyer thinks that he can just take a few days off in the middle of the season. It was just unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like what's amazing? It's like he doesn't get it. He doesn't get what it takes at the NFL level, how you got to act, how you got to, kind of carry yourself. He just looks like he is, I'm going to do what I do, and that's what I do. And it's like, dude, that cake don't bake in the NFL. And so Urban Meyer and he looks like he wants out of there so bad, right? I mean, He looks like, get me out of here. And I just he's just in this place where I don't think he can just snap his fingers and get out of there. So unless it's like that, who's the old the Louisville coach that basically put notes in everybody's locker room?
Petrino,
yeah.
Bobby Petrino.
Urban Meyer's going to basically, late at night, we'll just put notes in everybody's lockers and say, "I'm out, boys. See ya." I mean, that's what I'm anticipating later on in the season happening.
Oh my God, unbelievable!
Crazy.
Yeah,
it's a great story though.
I knew you would love it. We were just sat there and were talking earlier in the show. I'm like, guessing Ted has a take on Urban Meyer or two.
It's got everything. It's got betrayal. It's got sex, kind of, or at least dry humping. It's got all the high exposure of the NFL colliding with all the incredible hatred and animosity of college football. It's got everything you could ask for. This thing's going to be a crossover hit.
It is. It's a juicy story. Yeah. And I mean, did you hear his wife is on social media, and she's basically, someone told me that she was crossing out her last name on social media, and people are telling her that she deserves better, and she's liking all of the posts that she gets, encouraging her to leave her husband. So there's trouble in paradise.
Ted. Yeah. Ted, I don't know what your current relationship status is, but I think for content alone, I think you need to make a play for Shelly Meyer.
Yes!
She's a handsome woman.
I'm good.
Yeah. Yes. Come on, Ted.
I've retired, Seth. I am happy in my current relationship, but at a different time in my life, Seth, I would have been all over that. But right now, I'm good, brother.
Next plane to Jacksonville, this guy. Absolutely. Hey, Ted. Before we let you go, how are you doing? What's going on with you up there in Boston? You still getting on the radio and the TV up there?
Oh yeah, yep. Just believe it, I'm transitioned more to TV now than radio. So I got a really good gig here, NBC Sports Boston. I do a pre and post game show. I do a nightly hit on the Sunday sports show with Mike Felger, who's a big radio star up here.
Sure.
And then I do a lot of fill-in work on the radio on the Sports Hub, which is just a monster of a radio station up here, and I'm loving it. So I have my daughter's a senior in high school, my son's a junior, and so I'll be here at least for another couple of years, and then we'll see where life takes me. But thank you, Seth
Columbus,
and
Ohio.
Sean, for asking. Not anymore, man.
Attaboy.
I won't take the bait.
Yeah, there you go. Ted Johnson.
But I miss you guys, man. I really do. Give my best to your families for me, okay?
Yeah, for sure. We will absolutely do that, and to the crew up here as well. We miss you as well, buddy. We appreciate you making a few minutes for us. Enjoy the game, and we'll definitely catch up soon, Ted.
I will, guys. All right. Great talking to you. I'll talk to you soon.
Great stuff. Good to hear Ted's voice. Teddy, we appreciate it, man. Good stuff. Ted Johnson joining us here on the show. He sounds great. All right. Let's get to some headlines.
Payne and Pendergast with today's headlines. Brought to you by BaywayJeep.com.
All right. The big headline today is the Astros 6-1 over the Chicago White Sox yesterday, Game 1 of the ALDS. That is 6-0 now for the Astros in Game 1s of ALDSs in their history. Ever.
In the history?
In the history of mankind since 2015. The Astros are 6-0 in Game 1s.
We had Layla Rahimi on yesterday.
Yes.
And she had mentioned that, incredibly, the White Sox have never been to the playoffs in back-to-back seasons.
I looked that up after that yesterday afternoon. I looked that up. Not only was that accurate, they now have been. They've now been to the playoffs twice in consecutive years. Right. Up until this year, they'd never been in their history. They've existed since 1902. You want to hear something else about the White Sox, Seth, as long as you bring that up? They've only been to the postseason in the history of their team that's existed for about 120 years. They have been to the postseason. This is the 11th time they've been to the postseason in the history of their team. To give a little perspective, the Astros have been to the postseason 12 times since 1997. And the Astros are one of the higher performing teams in baseball over the course of the last 25 years from that perspective.
Yeah.
But, boy, that is it's tough. And it's not like the Cubs have been the Yankees through the years either. It ain't easy being a baseball fan in Chicago.
All right. That's enough. I don't want there to be any sympathy or empathy in my heart for these evil Chicago White Sox and their dastardly.
I bring it up to make
Tony
fun
La
of them
Russa.
and point at them and what failures they are. Yeah.
And you hire Tony La Russa to try to bring you out of the muck,
Bully
out of
them.
the dark ages. My goodness.
Yeah. Here was Dusty Baker on what to me was the number one story coming out of yesterday's game: the performance of Lance McCullers.
He stayed away from the high pitch count inning, which permitted him to go, deep in the game. I know he was hoping to go a full 7 innings, but they were starting to hit him in that 1 inning, and so we had to come get him. Mayton got him out of trouble, and he had his breaking ball going. He had his fastball command going. So whenever that happens, he's tough to hit.
What do you think of McCullers yesterday, Seth? What was your big takeaway?
That's right. I'm bringing back Sean. He was incredible. I think that the one cool thing about having the national broadcasters on, even though it's AJ Przinsky, who I generally despise, it's kind of getting a fresh set of eyeballs on Lance McCullers when he's really on, and just seeing them go gaga over just how damn good he's gotten. Because I think a lot of people, if you're not, if you're only watching playoff baseball, or you're an NL fan that only checks in on the playoffs in the AL every now and then, you look at Lance McCullers, and he's a completely different guy than he was back in 2017. He's added a pitch every single year, and you look at those studs that they have at the top of the White Sox lineup in the first inning, just completely lost, and you're trying to. I think honestly, earlier I said, Lance, you got the benefit of a generous strike zone while he was in there, and Lynn was getting it too. Lance Lynn was getting the generous strike zone, but I think part of it was that first slider had so much action, and I think they fooled the umpire when he called it an outside strike, and he kind of established the zone there, because his stuff was just so freaky good yesterday. That was so much fun to watch. The other thing yesterday is I kept thinking back to Bagwell a couple months ago when he was in the booth, and it was during a Greinke game, and Bagwell was talking about how, as enamored as people are with strikeouts, the ground ball is where it's at for putting people out early and often, and to keep your pitch count low.
Pitch count,
because
yes.
you can get. Yeah, you can keep your pitch count low. It might take 6-7 pitches to strike a guy out, where a ground ball, you can get him on the first pitch, and that's what was going on with Lance yesterday. He had 4 strikeouts, but I'd rather see soft contact with the fielding he's got behind him.
No doubt. He was really, really good yesterday. The Astros, they did everything they needed to do. They got up on the White Sox, kind of crushed their soul, and then did a lot of the little things you need to do to win the game. I thought closing it out with a Jose Altuve barehand play, which was a really good play that only a handful of second basemen probably make in baseball. That was a really appropriate way to close out that game. The other big story from an Astros perspective yesterday is that Jim Crane spoke, and here was Jim Crane. Jim Crane talked about a number of the Astros players as well as Dusty Baker and their chances of being back next year. The one that everybody wants to know about is they want to hear from the owner about where things stand with Carlos Correa.
Seems the number one question. Carlos great. We kind of made a decision, and he made a decision to wait till after the season's over. We're certainly very appreciative of how he's played and how he leads the team. He's a great guy. We'll definitely be in the mix as the season gets over and it's time to address that. I think we have a chance. It just depends on where we end up with that and, what Carlos wants to do. And, certainly dollars are a factor.
All right, so this will be the story of the offseason when it comes to the Astros. For now, my guess is, Seth, that as a topic goes, we had not heard from Crane about Carlos Correa in a long, long time. All we heard about Crane and Carlos Correa in terms of communicating was recently they hadn't talked in a long time. They hadn't talked in a couple of months, I think were the reports that I heard. I would think that between Carlos talking about it with the national media heading into the playoffs a couple of days ago, he's talked about it plenty with the local media throughout the season, and now with Crane commenting on it, there's really nothing left to ask. You know what I mean? And look, when you get to the ALCS and hopefully the World Series, it's a new set of media nationally that are watching this, and Carlos will be one of the guys that's doing pre-series media. So it probably gets brought up again, but I think as far as the topic goes, we know where both sides stand. We're waiting till after the season to see how this goes.
Look, Jim Crane can't put all his cards on the table or anything there. I thought the one notable thing that he said which is completely fair and 100% true, and is a level of transparency that you didn't even get from, say, Belichick when the best quarterback in the history of football left his team. He said it's about the dollars. The dollars matter. And when he says that, it just feels like maybe the Astros have changed their stance based on Carlos Correa being healthy over the course of the last 230 or so baseball games, 235, 240 baseball games. For last year's shortened season, the playoffs, on into this year, he stayed healthy all year long. Maybe it's changed a little bit, but it feels like they're not planning on being the team that matches a 10-year, $340 million contract.
Yeah.
That maybe they're going to spend more, and they're willing to commit longer than they did before the season. Maybe they're willing to go the longest Crane has ever gone with a contract. But it doesn't feel like they're going to break any records.
No, I don't think so either. I think the years are a much bigger deal than the money. I know he refers to the money right there. I could see where the Astros would go, we'll pay you $35 million a year and make you the highest paid annual salary in baseball, but we'll go 6 years. We're not going to go 10 doing that kind of thing. I could see them doing that. I just don't think they want to be – I think it's smart business. You look at these 10-year contracts, Seth, none of them end well. None of them do. And they don't want to be in that situation. And they have enough other solutions within this window that they're in right now where they feel like they can still be a competitive baseball team and not have a credit card bill sitting there on a 35-year-old middle infielder for $34 million a year in a few years. I can't totally blame them for that. Where it'll get bad for Crane will be if Carlos Correa winds up signing a 7-year deal somewhere else. You know what I mean? Because the offers till now have been 5 years and 6 years at well below what market is going to wind up being for Correa. This past offseason, they offered him 120 over 6 and 125 over 5 were the final offers they made. If it turns out that Carlos Correa signs for 7 years, $240 million with the Rangers or the Cubs or somebody, that'll be an issue that the team has to deal with. That'll be an issue that can only be washed away by them winning 95 games again next year. That's it.
What about the 12 and 13-year deals? Will Bryce Harper or Mike Trout prove to be wise decisions?
I mean, Trout can't stay healthy right now.
I know. That's what I was about to. When you said none of them work out, I thought, well, Trout signed 12 years, and he's gonna. I was gonna say there's a good chance he's really good at the end of that contract, except. Given his recent health history, I don't know if that's true. Yeah, I don't know if he'll even be. He might opt out or accept a buyout at some point.
No, Seth, he'll be amazing for all 52 games that he plays in the season. Yeah. Tatis is the other one. Tatis, I look at a little differently. He signed a 14-year deal. He's 22. So they're buying out his arbitration years and his early free agency, and so really, I mean, most of his free agency. You get a guy 14-year deal. He's a Padre for life. The other game yesterday, the Rays beat the Red Sox 5-0 to get that ALDS going. So right now, Rays up 1-0, Astros up 1-0 in the best-of-5 series. 1 o'clock today, and we'll be down there at Minute Maid Park, Crawford and Congress, starting at 10 o'clock, actually. John Lopez and Landry Locker, they'll be down there. Clint Sterner in the show. They'll be broadcasting live down there as well. So stop by and see them if you are going to the game. Texans, 9.5-point underdogs to the Patriots on Sunday. Game you can hear right here on Sports Radio 610. Kickoff is at noon. The Texans have actually won their last 2 games against the Patriots, believe it or not. The one thing they sucked at all these years, beating the Patriots, all of a sudden in the waning weeks of the Bill O'Brien era, as well as last year with Romeo Crennel as an interim coach, they've actually beaten the Patriots the last 2 times they played them, both at NRG Stadium. This one's at NRG Stadium as well. Tim Kelly, the offensive coordinator, met with the media yesterday, and a lot was made about upcoming decisions to make at the quarterback position when Tyrod Taylor comes back.
Yeah, because if that's the case, that means that he's playing well and he's making our job hard as far as making that decision. So ideally, it's a tough one here whenever that time comes.
All right, so that was Tim Kelly. He's talking about Davis Mills. Hopefully, he makes the decision hard for Tyrod Taylor. For the Texans when Tyrod Taylor comes back. Seth, right now the decision is an easy one. Tyrod Taylor comes back, he's your starting quarterback again, as of right now.
And I'm trying to be, after yesterday's show, I was coming down pretty hard on a lot of people that deserve a lot of criticism right now. And I'm trying to, but I said, okay, all right, what what are the chances that I'll be wrong about this? Because, gosh, I hate being wrong. But sometimes, Sean, it happens. I know you don't remember a time, but it's happened before where I've been wrong.
I'm curious if you can bring up some proof of that, but go ahead.
I was the guy that said that I was eager to watch the Urban Meyer experiment, and I've been proven correct in that. I said he would either be incredibly good or incredibly awful.
Bingo.
I just didn't expect. I didn't expect to find out this quickly how incredibly bad he would be.
Jackpot. Yeah.
So yeah. But as far as how will they look over the next few games, the one thing that the Patriots are that the Browns, the Panthers, and the Bills are not is a team with a defense that you can run on. The Patriots defense has not been all that impressive. I know in some of the conventional stats they present like a good defense. They're not as stout up front as those other teams. So I'm hoping, I'm waiting for the offensive line to look better this week than they have. I don't think. Look, the running backs are what they are. I mean, the running backs are basically they are who we thought they were. Mm-hmm. Other than I think, maybe Ingram. I think Ingram runs with the anger and fury of a much younger man, but he's also in his lower 30s. He's just not that guy anymore. The offensive line should be better than they've looked. I'm hoping that a lesser level of competition has them looking a little bit like a competent unit.
Okay, along those lines, and by the way, you're listening to KLT and KLT HD2 and Odyssey Station.
Keeping up with the flood of news every single day can be quite stressful. There is climate change happening. There's the pandemic, labor movements, Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend. Hi, I am Gideon Resnick, host of Crooked Media's What a Day. Each week, Travelle Anderson, Priyanka Arabindi, Josie Duffy Rice, and I are going to break down the biggest news stories of the day in a way that hopefully doesn't always make you want to cry. New episodes of What a Day drop every weekday at 5 a.m. Eastern. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, it's Laszlo. I don't know anything about growing plants. You start with seeds, some dirt, water. Look, I'm told the water is the most important ingredient. You're the expert. For the best quality water for growing plants and the best water for your body, go to GrowFlow, powered by Culligan of Kansas City for home hydroponic growing needs. GrowFlow KC is part of the Culligan water family, providing Kansas City the best water for drinking, bathing, and even in-home hydroponic growing. The best service available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. GrowFlow KC, powered by Culligan, Kansas City. Go to CulliganKansasCity.com.
Recovery Hydration Therapy is Kansas City's choice for IV therapy. The best part? They come to you. That's right. You never have to leave your house. The trusted team at Recovery Hydration Therapy will get you feeling your best from the comfort of your home. Feeling under the weather? Overindulged last night? Migraine keeping you down? Recovery Hydration Therapy could have the IV therapy solution to help you get back on your feet. Check out a full list of IV therapy options and book today at recoveryhydrationtherapy.com. Kansas City's premier choice for IV therapy. recoveryhydrationtherapy.com.